Hey guys, how's it going? So it's day number 2. Last night I managed to get the crate in the shop here, and for those of you who may not have seen my previous video, which I will link above, I got myself a new planer, something that I've desperately needed in my shop for quite a while now, given the fact that I work almost exclusively with hardwood lumber that I mill myself. And the amount of time that I spend sanding and planing the material down to make my projects is considerable. And without having something like this, I feel like it's hardly worth the time to even sell my products because of how much time I put into them. So yeah, I bought this directly from Grizzly because they had an incredible sale. This machine was $500 off its normal price at the time. And even with the cost of freight, it was still cheaper for me to go this route than it was to like travel to like the closest Home Depot and have it delivered, you know, order it through them and pick it up there. The problem is the freighting company that they ship through, ABF Freight, they do not service my location. So I ended up having to drive an hour and a half to their closest service center near Johnson City, Tennessee to pick it up. And like I said, you can see the previous video that I made with me getting this off of my truck. I don't have any real heavy duty equipment like a forklift or a skid loader or even a tractor. So I had to use some creativity to get this out of my truck and into my shop. So again, that previous video, check that out if you want to see how I managed to pull that off. But today, what we're going to do is I'm going to unbox and give my initial thoughts on the machine. Additionally, I purchased this heavy-duty mobile base for the machine. Honestly, I don't know why machines that have this kind of weight don't automatically have a mobile base, but it is what it is. So I definitely need the ability to move my stuff around in my shop. I got a decent sized shop here, but I also have it stocked full of a lot of my lumber, my hardwood lumber, and a lot of my stations are huge. I got like a slab flattening station, I have a CNC router station, and they all take up a considerable amount of space in my shop. So I need to be able to like shift things around depending on the project I'm working on. But we'll get to this later. So for now, I'm going to talk about this crate size in case you're wondering. So this crate is about 50 3/4 inches tall. It's 30 inches wide and 45 inches long. So again, if you're in a position like I am, you can get this in the back of a truck. I have an F-150, the shorter bed, and it fit in there no problem. Plenty of space left over. The crating seems pretty good. Good quality. I inspected it at the shipping center there, and there was no damage. I think I may have dented a little bit of the side of it way down here when I was getting it off my truck, but that's not a problem. Yeah, so the crate I think is pretty heavy duty. No problems. Even with me getting it off my truck by myself, it held up to me pulling on it with my quad and everything, so good deal there. Trying to think if there's anything else I can say about the crating. So at this point, I've never actually ordered anything that has come in a wooden crate like this. So I guess I'm not an expert at the proper way to open them. It's nailed, got nails all around it. On the bottom, they're Phillips screws. I guess I'll go ahead and start taking this crate apart and see what this machine looks like. Yeah, so getting this thing decrated, if that's a word, really was not that difficult. In fact, I probably could have just, once I unscrewed the bottom screws, I probably could have just lifted the whole thing up. I didn't realize, I don't know what I was thinking, but I pulled one side off and then was gonna pull the front off and then realized, hey, I can just lift this up, so cool. Anyway, first thoughts on this thing. I am definitely super impressed. This is by a long shot the most heavy duty piece of equipment that I've ever owned. No wonder this thing weighs 900 pounds. This thing is thick, solid as a rock. As far as I can tell, there's not much plastic on this thing. You got these things, this side thing here is plastic. Other than that, I mean, this thing is like metal and it is tough. I love this, this Grizzly logo down here. That's really cool. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot that I'm going to have to actually assemble on this thing. I see here we have the piece that attaches to the back where you can attach your dust collection hose to. I almost think that this may be, I think this may be a 5-inch. I can't remember. I'm going to have to get a reducer for whatever this is. I think it's 5-inch down to my 4-inch hose. Definitely want to use dust collection when you're using the planer, because my little DeWalt planer, that thing produces an insane amount of wood chips, just crazy amounts. So this is no doubt going to do the same thing. Because it's a helical head, it shouldn't be the long stringy wood chips. It should be more, I would think it would be more of a sawdust, which would be nice. That shouldn't clog up the dust collection system. Let's see here. We got some screws, some screwdrivers, and it looks like they actually gave us some spare cutters. Looks like there's about 10 of them. So that's cool. I'm not entirely sure how many cutters are in this. It may be like upwards of 90. I think that's what it would be, or what it is. We got some wrenches and Allen wrenches. A couple other little things in here, I'm not entirely sure. Part of the assembly. Okay, so this is the crank, so that you can lower and raise the planer bed. And that probably is the thing that goes in the middle there to hold it down. And these, I am positive, are the, I'm really bad, I don't even know what these things are called. The things that, you know, fold up, or I don't even know if they fold up on this, stick out, you know, just to extend the bed here. And then the manual, of course, which I will definitely go through this before I do anything. And yeah, doesn't look like there's going to be too much to do to put this thing together. So I am excited that I am really close to being able to finally plane all of my hardwood as I need it for my projects, instead of spending hours doing it the hard way. So yeah, pretty pumped about this. Yeah, so I can give you a little closer look here. They got some plastic on here. It looks like it's greased up pretty good, you know, as expected. I believe that I'll want to probably keep this, maintain this to prevent it from getting rust. Here's the switch box, or whatever you want to call it, for your power. It's got an emergency stop, or just a stop, I suppose. I'm used to, whenever I have a piece of equipment that has that on it, it's always an emergency stop. But it looks pretty solid. There's that really cool logo. I love that thing. That's the side. Backside. And in there, I don't know if it's going to be easy to see, but you can see the helical cutter head in there. And I'm not entirely sure what these things are useful for. Almost seems like it'd be nice to be able to set something on top, but these things roll pretty easily. I mean, I suppose if you're passing wood back, you could slide it up on the top. Maybe that's what it's for. Yeah, that might not be a bad thing to have. So. So assembling the this mobile base is actually really easy. There's hardly anything to it. The thing is I originally was thinking that I was going to have to like assemble this completely and then lift up my entire 900-pound machine and then set it on here, and that's where I was like, how am I going to do this? But then after I got done putting most of this together, except for the rails, I got to the point in the manual where it says assembling base around the machine. So it's specifically for if it's too heavy to lift. So there's a way to do it around the machine, and the only thing that I'm going to have to go back is take off the casters, because basically what I'm going to do is, this is going to be pretty close to the ground without the casters, and I'll be able to just put this around and then basically slide this under the machine on every corner. I'll have to use some leverage to like lift up the machine just a little bit to get it under, and then once I have it fully assembled and everything's locked down, then I essentially will have to put like a 4x4 under the machine, which I'll have to use leverage again to, lift up the machine, stick the 4x4 underneath, and then I can attach the casters. Basically do that on both sides, and then use my leverage again to pull the 4x4s out, and we should be good to go. So that is the makes it a lot easier than I was anticipating. So what I'm doing here is, as just stated, I'm actually now assembling this mobile base around the actual unit, and the way I've done it for now is I was able to lift this, tilt this thing enough so that I could get a piece of the 1/4-inch plywood that was part of the crate under there, which lifts it off the ground just enough so that I can actually slide these under here. So just in case you're wondering, so I think that'll help. I'll be able to get this thing assembled, and then the last step will be actually tilting it again with this on here, and then sticking a 4x4, a couple 2x4s underneath each side so that I can put the caster wheels back on, and then I should be good to go. And then really the last thing is going to be the power. Okay, so I have the mobile base on there all the way around, as you can see. So at this point, I just need to tilt the machine. I'm going to tilt the front first, put the front casters on. Well, tilt it up using leverage again, then stick a couple pieces of 2x4 under there so I can lift it up high enough to get the caster wheels on. Then I will drop that down, put the feet down so that when I do the back side, it doesn't start, rolling on me. So then I'll do the same thing on the back side and put the wheels on. Then lift it up a little bit with leverage, pull the 2x4s out, and I should be good to go. Alright, so that job is officially done. It required the assistance of my wife. She came out and helped me stick the wood underneath as I tilted it back. It's almost impossible to do that by yourself. So the challenge is when I tilted the machine back, obviously this thing isn't actually physically attached to the machine, so this didn't tilt back with the machine, so my wife had to grab underneath there and lift that up, and it wasn't super easy to do because the machine is technically sitting on it on the back, so it was giving some resistance wanting to lift up, so she had to exert a little bit of energy to lift that up and then slide basically had 4 of those boards to get it under there, and it really wasn't that bad. The bigger challenge was the backside. So I should clarify that before I lifted up the backside, obviously took the boards out of here, and then you want to make sure that you have your feet down. So have that down so that when you lift the backside, it doesn't want to start rolling forward. So the backside was more of a challenge because you just really couldn't. There was really nothing to grab onto to get underneath to lift this up when the machine was tilted back. Like I said, it's not like it just comes up super easy. You have to exert some force on it. There wasn't anything to grab onto, so what we ended up doing was I just used my crowbar, and we were able to lift it up just a little bit at a time, and then we would slide a little piece of that 1/4-inch plywood underneath, and then I would lift it up a little bit more, slide another piece under, until we were able to get 2 of these boards underneath in the middle, and then I had enough room so I could get those caster wheels on, and then it was just a matter of just using the crowbar again to lift it up slightly and pulling these pieces of wood out. So the next step is to install the table extensions, and this is the bottom of one of them, and they're just going to go on each side, and you can see that they attach in those locations with a bolt, 3 bolts. There is a amended sheet for this particular step. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Basically have these little, I'm not entirely sure what these are called. It probably says what they're called right here, but I'm not looking. I'm assuming these are to allow you to make adjustments to the table, make it go up or down a little bit to make sure it's perfectly level. So the right there, it looks like that's for an Allen wrench. So when we install these in here, I'm just going to want to make sure that that side is facing out. So easy enough. I'm assuming, yeah, that's got to be what it's for, so that you can level the table as needed. Pretty straightforward. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then the other step is these bolts and washers, and all of these pieces were in the same little bag for these table extensions, and pretty simple. Then these bolts would basically screw into the planer. Probably the hardest part is just going to be holding this thing up. So this part was a little annoying. I initially tried to hold this thing up as I tried to put the bolt in and screw it in, but the problem is it's just too long, and I could not see to align it properly. And I'm holding this up, moving it all over the place, trying to align it properly, and it's just not, couldn't find the hole. So what I ended up doing is my old dusty garbage can that I use for PVC pipe, and I used some of the pieces from the crate, these, and a couple of the 1/4-inch boards, and then some scrap wood that I had. There's actually 2 1-inch pieces of scrap there, and that actually aligned it up almost perfectly. So I was able to align it up that way, and then I still had to like fish around up in here, because you can't really, I couldn't, still really couldn't tell if it was aligned perfectly or not. So I was trying to screw it in, and I'm kind of moving this around a little bit as I'm doing it until I finally found the hole. But man, that sure beat trying to hold that thing up in the air. That's got some weight to it, and you can only hold it up so long with one arm when you're trying to fish for the hole with the other hand. So that made it a lot easier. So I'll do that on the other side. So that's what it looks like underneath. I do not have these bolts tightened down super tight yet, because I know that once I get the tables on and the tables cleaned off here, I'm going to need to use my level to make sure that they're nice and level, make any fine-tuned adjustments I need before I really clamp down on these and tighten them down. So I'll do the same thing over on the other side. Okay, so I have both extension tables put on. I will note that I do have a little bit of a lip here, and that I still need to make some actual fine-tuning adjustments on here, but I'll do that later. I just want to get everything put together for now, and I'll fine-tune this later. So the next step is to put the hand wheel, and it's going to consist of these parts here, and this is the handle that goes in there. So what I'm thinking is, that picture is not abundantly clear, but after looking at it for a minute, I am positive that it goes onto this. So this should be easy. Those table extensions were frustrating as nothing else. So I'm hoping from here on out it's simple. So we'll get that put on there. And this part was actually really straightforward. Well, fairly straightforward. The thing that I don't really understand is this whole label thing. It's kind of covered up by the washer a little bit. Doesn't really make sense why they would do that, but unless I misinterpreted what I was supposed to do here. Not that I really care, because I can figure out which way goes up and which way it goes down. I don't need that label anyway, so good enough. So the next step is to attach the dust hood, and looks like we're going to use these 6 bolts and the hood, and that looks pretty straightforward, so I'll go ahead and take care of that. That's going to mount to the back here. I can see where the bolt holes are there, and the other ones right along the top. Alright, that was very straightforward. Easy. The one thing that I don't really care for is the fact that this comes straight out instead of goes at like a 45-degree angle. But I'm going to have to get a reducer anyway, because this is 5 inches and my hoses are 4, so I'm going to have to get a 5 to 4, and maybe I can get like one with a 45-degree angle or something. And what I also find kind of strange is that they got this lip in here. I don't know why. The only thing that I can think of is maybe it's to help prevent this from crushing. Like if you're clamping down with your dust hose, that added lip probably prevents it from, it makes it more difficult to squeeze it and crush it in. But at the same time, it seems like dust would get caught in here, but it's probably not a huge problem. I mean, it seems like if that was a big deal, they would have modified that design. But yeah, so no biggie. Yeah, so here we go. This thing's all put together. I just need to fine tune the extension tables a little bit and clean up the rust preventer that they have on there, and I think there's a couple other little maintenance things that I need to do, and but it looks like I'll have plenty of time, because I can't use this until I get the right electrical hooked up here in my workshop so I can actually run this thing. But yeah, I mean, the actual assembly wasn't bad. The worst part about it was getting these extension cables on, and it's just because they're heavy and it's hard to see what the heck you're doing. I did almost every single thing here by myself. The only thing that I really needed help with was getting the mobile base on, and that was just because I could not tilt that thing and kick a piece of wood under it to lift it up. I needed both of my feet planted on the ground when I was lifting that thing, so I had to have my wife come out, like I said, and she helped me out with that. And otherwise, this was a one-person job, and that's pretty much everything. So not bad. I'll be able to get this in place and clean up my shop. You can see part of my shop, and it's a complete disaster in here right now. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to running this thing. So I'll have to maybe make a third part and show how I'm able to run and operate with this. And yeah, looking forward to it. Until next time, thanks for watching.